What's going on, guys? It's Mike for SimRacing604. Welcome back to version 1.6 of Project Cars 2, and the 1.6 update came a day before the Le Mans pack was released, so it's a new DLC pack available to you through Steam or through whatever format you play Project Cars 2 on. And obviously the Le Mans pack is focusing on endurance racers, and specifically of two eras. There's some in between cars, but it's primarily two eras. So first car we're going to look at, there's actually 9 cars included in this pack plus a new Le Mans layout, the 1971 layout. So let's quickly take a look at each car, and then we will get into driving a few of these cars. So the first one we have takes us back to 1970. This is the Ferrari 512S. So 610 horses, as you can see, 940 kilos. Incredible top speed, incredible acceleration, especially for a 1970 car. And big, huge V12 engine. Let's quickly take a look at the showroom view, and you can see that beautiful, beautiful engine poking out the top of the car. It's just a phenomenal looking car. This is very much a timeless design on these cars. It never looks old. It never looks dated. Just a beautiful, beautiful car. All right, so we have the 512S and the 512M. So let's quickly take a look in here. As you can see, they reduced the top speed slightly for the M, but increased the acceleration by decreasing the weight primarily, I would assume. And again, just unbelievably beautiful styled two-door mid-engine car here, and pumping out north of 600 horsepower at 900 kilos, so it's a tremendous power to weight ratio, and looking forward to getting this one out on the track. Now, while Ferrari was doing this in 1970, Porsche came up with their own answer, or actually had been developing this for a long time. This is the 917 LH, which is also included as part of this DLC pack. And you can see right away that it pretty much blows the Ferrari out of the water in terms of specs. Almost 400 kilometers an hour theoretical top speed with this 5-speed H pattern. Flat 12, you may see it online as a V12, but it's listed as a 180-degree V12. Meaning a flat 12. 0 to 60, 3.2 seconds. Even modern race cars would be envious of that stat. And a lot lighter. We're looking at 900 roughly kilos for the Ferraris, and this one is 823. And just look at that. What a beautiful, beautiful looking car. And I think Slightly Mad Studios has done a great job bringing this to us, and yeah, it just seems like every detail is accounted for. So another one I'm looking forward to getting out on the track with. I suspect this will be a rough go of heel toe shifting, but we'll see what we can do. Skipping ahead about a decade, so Porsche continued their design of endurance racers, and the 1980 kind of lower entry-level car. The 924 Carrera GT P, as you can see, it's about half the horsepower of what we were looking at before. Still mated to a 5-speed H-pattern shifter, but had a straight 4 engine instead of the flat 12 we were just looking at with the 917 LH. So I actually am old enough to remember when the street version of this car was on the road, and these things were really, really cool to look at. It looked much more sensibly styled, quote unquote, but they were still fun to look at, and you saw enough of them to make them a really cool addition to the road. So I do remember these, and Porsche did not disappoint with this car. And again, Slightly Mad Studios, nicely done in recreating this car. I think this is probably going to be the most easy to drive, but we'll take that out to the track and test my theory. And the last of the sort of vintage era cars, and I hate to say vintage because we're getting into where I was alive now, the Porsche 961. So where do I find that 961? My apologies. There we go. So as you can see, the 959S and the 961, very similar styling. So a flat six engine this time, again, getting that 0 to 60 time way down into the low threes, 700 horsepower, a bit heavier this time. You're looking at close to 1,200 kilograms dry, so a bit heavier, but still a beautiful looking race car and a tremendous track car. It's much more sort of, I guess, you know, street grade. It's not the low slung 40-inch high race car like you saw with the 1970 cars, but still very much track worthy. So I actually can't wait to drive any of these. But before we do that, we're going to look at the modern. So we're jumping ahead 30 years now, from 1986 to 2016, and we got a car added via this DLC pack that people were asking for in the last Porsche download pack, which is this, the 919 Hybrid, or 919 Hybrid. If you look at that acceleration, just absolutely off the charts. 0 to 60 in 2.6 seconds is just an unbelievable number, and don't believe this power stat. That power stat is based on the V4 engine, but it has, in addition to that, it has a 400 horsepower, roughly, electric power plant that's driving that number up close to 900 horsepower. Now, depending on the KERS deploy, I don't know what Project KERS 2 has done with the KERS deploy in Project KERS 2. Excuse me, I don't know what Slightly Mad Studios has done with the KERS deploy in Project KERS 2, so I don't know if you will have the full 900 horsepower on tap or not. We shall see, but still a great addition, and it came with some rivals as well. Sorry, I just got to take a minute to appreciate the styling of this thing. It looks beautiful. What a car. And wow, nicely done to Slightly Mad Studios. And let's take a look at some of its competitors. So we got two Audis that are more or less the same. They count this as 9 cars in this pack, but it is actually, it is actually 8 cars. But we have 2 setups of 1 car. This is the Audi R18. As you can see, we have a Fuji setup and a Le Mans setup. The nose is the most obvious change there. What it is the Fuji setup is a higher downforce car. The Le Mans setup allows it to get up to the really high speeds. So you can see, even with the theoretical top speed, 326 in the Fuji version, 343 in the Le Mans version, and no difference to the acceleration. So let's just quickly take a look at this in showroom view. And again, you can see it is a modern prototype style car, and yeah, it's had a fair bit of success at endurance racing. Tremendously styled car. And finally, we will get into the last entry, which is the Toyota 050, whatever you want to call it. And if this car sounds familiar, it should, because it, I believe, still holds the track record for Le Mans with a 3:14.8. Absolutely blistering time. Just for reference, and I could be mistaken about this stat, but they're starting to do some 2018 Le Mans testing, and Fernando Alonso and his team are doing really well, and they are running 3:19, so a full 5 seconds behind what this car did in 2017. And I believe the nearest competitor ever has been about 2 seconds off that pace. I could be wrong about those stats. You can look it up. But anyway, for a time at least, the Toyota TS050 was the Le Mans track record holder. So beautiful cars here, all well done. And we got one more track I want to look at here, which is the Le Mans Vintage. So we are used to this setup of Le Mans. Never driven that Bugatti circuit, actually, but the 24 hours of Le Mans circuit at Cirque de la Sarthe. So as you can see, there's the chicanes down the long straight, and when you go to the Vintage, it is gone. Same as if you look through this section, it is much more windy. Vintage, straight. Le Mans, windy. Vintage, straight. So there's going to be some pretty incredible top speeds set through here. I look forward to driving it. Let's jump into a couple of the cars and see what we can do. And yeah, we will jump into VR now. Alright guys, so here we are, trackside 1971 Le Mans. We are in the 512M. Let's just jump into VR view here. Oh, look at this interior. Look at that mirror. Oh my goodness, that is amazing. A hole cut in the roof, angular, so I can see the mirror. Wow. Wow, look at that stick shift. This car is incredible. Reminds me a bit of the 330 P4 that we have in this game. Wow, that 5-liter V12 sounds fantastic. This is on par with anything I've ever heard in Project Cars 2. So phenomenal. Vintage setup Le Mans here. So you can see all the old school signage up there. Very basic grandstands. Only the rich people got covered from the rain. Oh yes. Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. Oh my. This is pretty much the reason VR was invented. This is an absolutely, whoa, phenomenal experience driving here. I'm just taking it real easy. Don't know the course too well. Don't know my approach angles. Wow! 10,000 RPM, close to it anyway. Going up through 4th gear, we're still accelerating past 280, 290. 300 kilometers an hour at 4th gear, up into 5th. And it looks like we could tighten down 5th gear a bit. But it is running very, very comfortably at 300 kilometers an hour. Car feels stable. Track force feedback feels great. It's a great feeling course. Very bumpy, as you'd expect an old school course to be. They didn't have the luxury of laser scan, of course, but done a great job recreating the surface, I think. It's kind of how you would imagine an old road to feel like. And I broke way too early there. Just a little bit afraid of the approach here. And we're away through the back section. So the course layout overall is quite similar to the modern version. It's just a lot more straight. And again, don't know the course, so I apologize for taking really, really poor racing lines here. Keeping it in 2nd gear. There seems to be a tremendous amount of mid-range torque with this 5-liter V12. So you don't really have to be too overly aggressive with your shifting, or conscientious of your shifting, I should say. So we're taking this guy flat out, more or less. I think I should be able to handle this close to flat out. Yep, got through it. And it looks like we're coming up to the start finish already. Oh, there's a little kink here, it looks like. Thank goodness for good signage. Or is it? Ah, I see. Oh, too aggressive. Alright, you gotta take that as a double 90. Okay, so much fun here. I want to spend a lot more time with this car and track, but I do want to try out some of the other cars as well. So let's take a little break here and jump into a different car. Alright guys, so we're back at the 1971 vintage version of Le Mans to try this, the Porsche 961. Apologies. I tried the 924. It was a bit too subdued for this track particular. I think I'll have some fun with it on other courses. It's just I wanted to showcase this Le Mans track. So the Porsche 961 is what I have gone with. This is all-wheel drive and has tremendous acceleration, so this should be a lot of fun. And we are away. And I'm going through gears faster than I thought I would. Gear ratio very tight. I believe I have 6 gears on tap though. Whoop, bit of understeer, nothing too bad. Wow. So it does feel more tame, certainly, than the 512M. But not necessarily in a bad way. It just kind of feels modern, which is a good thing. So it doesn't feel like it right now as I'm driving it after driving the 512, but I have just passed 300 kilometers an hour and still climbing in 6th gear here. I'm getting thrown around a fair bit now. The road's starting to get a bit more bumpy through this section. This one doesn't blow my mind like the 512 did. But still a very nice feeling car overall. And we'll see what it does through the second half. I think the second half will be a lot more exciting. And the handling I like a lot more than the 512. It's more predictable. It's better for a guy like me. Again, not thrilling, but probably better for somebody of my skill set. Whoa. As I say that, I just put it into a wall. Nice and easy through this sharp right-hander. Up onto a pile of dirt. More than one way to stop an out-of-control car, I suppose. And this is where it's going to get fun, guys. So flat out, keeping it pinned, keeping it pinned. There we go. Now we've got some life in her. Very nice, and approaching the start-finish section already. Said hello to the SO man there. And very cool, yeah, it's a nice car. I think it, the straight line, it doesn't have that roar of the V12, so the straight line is not nearly as exciting, but it really came alive in the second section through the windy section. Nicely done to Slightly Mad Studios on the Porsche 961. Alright, we got one more car to try. Alright guys, so here we are in the Porsche 919 at the modern setup for Le Mans. Hence starting from a pit box. And for what it's worth, and on the load screen I could see that somebody has already broken the 314 mark. So the world record has been beaten in Project Cars 2 by some alien somewhere. So I don't know the course that well, so I think you'll probably see me in the 330. Actually, I won't even get a time for this as it's my outlap, but I would be somewhere in the 330 or 340 range. It's a nice sounding car, that's for sure. And we are away up into 6th gear here. So again, I don't know how you set the KERS deploy. It looks like it is dropping slightly, perhaps, hard to tell. And wow, we're at the first chicane already. It's a great handling car. Again, sounds very true compared to what I've heard for the onboards at Le Mans. Up into 7th gear once again. And I think they've done a great job with this. Huge side view mirrors, I like that. And onboard rear view mirrors, I can disable my virtual mirror whenever. That's cool. I think of the 3 cars I've driven so far, actually 4 if you count the 924, I think this is my second favorite, but that 512M just steals the show. It's incredible. What an incredible car. But I'd like to spend some more time with this too. Take it to a course I'm more familiar with, really get to open it up, see what she can do. Oh yeah, I love it, love it. Tremendous, tremendous car. KERS, I think, is turned off. I don't have any deployed, I don't think. Alright, let's do one more lap here, guys. I had so much fun in that back section. And completely screwed up that corner. Again, I don't really know the course well enough to sort of take advantage of racing lines and approach angles and things like that. Just well enough to be dangerous. But yeah, this car pretty much made me fall in love on that back section. That was awesome. That really, really felt awesome. Such a responsive car. Doesn't feel dangerous. I find the LMP1 cars in Assetto Corsa, they're a lot of fun, don't get me wrong, and Kunos has done a masterful job with them, but they do feel a bit more dangerous. It does feel like you're constantly on edge. This one feels a bit more, I don't want to say tame, but For the gaming layman like me, perhaps it's a better fit. And we're quickly approaching the section I loved last time. Just gonna try and not screw up this section. I think I almost binned it last time. All right, here we go. Right on the edge of traction there. Oh. It's hard to imagine having a better time in sim racing than what I just did. That was awesome. I don't know how it looked, but it felt pretty darn awesome. I messed that section up again. Yeah, it's a terrible time. 3:47, but you know what? I had a fun time doing it. Thanks, guys, for watching, and we will see you next time. The Le Mans DLC pack gets my thumbs up, absolutely. It's tremendous. I know somebody's called it the best DLC pack of all time. I don't know that I agree with that, but it is really, really great. Thanks, guys, for watching, and we'll see you next time.